Hey there, Sag, and welcome to your November 2018 Creativity Tarot reading. My name is Kayleigh Jean, and welcome to my channel. As I was tuning into your energy for the month of November, I was given two impressions. First of all, I was feeling your fire, definitely a lot, but it kind of felt almost like you're maybe a little burnt out as you go into November. And this could be because really great things have been going on in your life. It could be because you've just been really busy and had a lot of demands placed on you. But as I was sort of tuning in, I started to get this sort of heavy feeling in my shoulders. And I feel like it's just, you're almost like I can hear you saying to someone, like, I just feel kind of burnt out. I was also shown a person sort of sitting down on a bench while it was almost like a fast forwarding of a bunch of people walking around them, kind of in a park or something along those lines. And the person just seemed like they needed to kind of stop and take a rest. So I feel like this is the result of you kind of being blessed, and I feel like a lot of maybe the fatigue or the feeling of being burnt out that you might be experiencing is a result of you having previously sort of been in a very creative chapter, or been really pushing yourself to your full potential in some area of your life. So it's definitely not a bad thing to find yourself in this place, but the message that I'm getting for you in November is to intentionally give yourself some time apart from the things that you normally do. I feel like it's going to be really important for you to give yourself some space, especially around, for example, if you have a business or if you have a creative project or something that you have to do that's sort of like a routine that you continuously engage in. I feel like this month it's really important for yourself to leave some space around those responsibilities and obligations, and give yourself maybe some permission to start thinking about how you can do things differently. Because a lot of the time when we feel burnt out, especially if we are already a very creative person, or we're already really engaged in our growth, or in making positive things happen in our lives, like pursuing goals essentially, sometimes we can sort of get into a habit or a routine way of doing those things, and it's not that, we're doing it the wrong way or anything like that anymore. It might just be that you need a little bit of kind of like Uranian energy to come in. You want to shake things up. You want to do things a little bit differently, and you may feel all of a sudden like you have a lot more energy, even though you maybe didn't take a whole month off to go to, Tahiti to kind of just hang out and get your rest back. It's like you're actually, by allowing yourself to maybe think about your routines differently, and yes, maybe rest more, yes, drink more water, yes, do some simple things to replenish your energy. Just the fact that you're giving yourself permission to think differently and do things differently, get out of your routine, shake up your habits, that is actually going to be incredibly gratifying for you, Sagittarius. And I feel like you're going to feel a lot of inspiration and kind of refreshment and rejuvenation just from that alone. So be open to doing things in a different way, especially if you are kind of far along a creative journey. Like, let's say you have a business and you're used to running your business in a particular way, and it produces results for you, but you just can't figure out why. You're just feeling kind of tired or feeling kind of burnt out. It may just be that you need to tweak a few things, and then all of a sudden, just like that, your inspiration is back and you have that enthusiasm again for your business. So just be open to small adjustments that you can make that will make a really big emotional and energetic difference for you. And secondly, do make time for you to explore and to have adventures and to do things that are outside of your normal routine. So it's a kind of like a two-pronged approach, but I feel like if you find your own way to address these things and you employ both of those kind of methods that I just described, you will actually feel like a huge difference in your energy, and you'll be kind of back in the driver's seat, excited again, moving forward. So let's take a look at your cards. Sagittarius, clear loving guidance for Sagittarians. And I'm going to get some animal spirit oracle cards for us so we can get some insight for Sagittarius, spirit guides connected to Sagittarius this month. Clear guidance for Sagittarius. Okay. So we have the Phoenix crossed by the Peacock. Oh my God, you guys. I really wish I had said something, because I was, right as I laid out the first card, I was in my mind's eye seeing not this card, but an image of a peacock. So that is just really fucking weird. That is so weird. That is really cool. So with the Phoenix as your path, and the peacock as the influence, this feels to me, there's something kind of, I'm not sure the word for it, but there's something, for lack of a better term, there's something kind of flashy about these cards. When I sort of put them together, I almost get this sort of like Venus and Leo-y kind of energy, like a theatrical, expressive energy when I see these together. It reminds me of literally theater or costumes, like costume making and putting on a performance or a play. That's just the very first kind of thing that strikes me when I look at these cards, is that there's an element of performance, or there's an element of like radical expression. It makes so much sense to me that the message that was coming through in the meditation was about feeling kind of burnt out. And then you get the Phoenix as your path. The Phoenix is a card that talks about transformation by fire, and that's something that you're really familiar with as a Sagittarius. With this card as your path, though, it shows me that what you've been encountering in October and sort of leading up to wherever you find yourself at this time in your life, Sagittarius, you have gone through a major transformation. And I feel like some of you are aware of this kind of on the external level, and you can point to something outside of you and say, this is different, my lifestyle is different, this has completely changed, I've moved really far, or I've switched careers or whatever. But there's also something that for many of you, I'm picking this up as like an internal transformation, like an internal shift that has come about through some kind of purification that maybe has you feeling like you've been a little bit in hot water in certain ways. And I say that as well because, you know, as you're listening to this, we are in Scorpio season, and this is your, you know, symbolically speaking, Scorpio is kind of like your 12th house energy. So it's the sign just preceding yours, and it indicates a lot of the things that you carry over sort of on a soul level that you have experienced, you know, in the sign of Scorpio. Everything that the sign of Scorpio sort of means to you is something that kind of reflects your internal unconscious like memories and patterns. So it can be a little bit of a tricky energy when you have the sun in your 12th house. It often is this time of reflection and rebirth and sort of rethinking a lot of things right before we go into your birthday season on the 22nd. So happy birthday, Sagittarius, if you're a sun sign Sag. But regardless, there's this almost blown out feeling to this Phoenix card, especially when I put it with the peacock. I feel like you have either been like having the sensation of being on display in some way in your life, Sag, whether that is being like observed in your work environment, like maybe your performance in your work environment has been being observed by other people and that has been stressful for you in some way, or maybe your business or your product or your, you know, however you creatively express yourself has taken on a sort of a life of its own in your life, and you've been sort of scrambling to keep up with the momentum and the influx of what has been, you know, part of your life recently. So either way, I see this sense of you kind of having been maybe in more of like a in the public eye in some way, or been more expressive, or been observed by other people in your work environment, something along those lines. And I feel like you've really shown up and you've been really doing your best to kind of, I want to say like transcend whatever the difficulties that are associated with this situation are. Like, I see this Phoenix card as your will to transcend. It's your will to get past or move beyond whatever your current struggles are. And I see this as a really powerful marker actually for you, Sag, that you are doing that. But at the same time, I also feel like there's this feeling of tiredness that I get with the peacock. And this isn't something that I normally see with the peacock card, but what is coming through actually now is just that, like, maybe you just feel like you have grown so much in terms of how you express yourself or your business or whatever responsibilities you have in your life. You've sort of taken on a lot, and now it's kind of difficult to keep up with it. Or you're dealing with some of the more challenging aspects, for example, of your ruler, Jupiter. And this is just something that I've personally experienced with Jupiter. Like, when I have Jupiter transits, they're always awesome. Like, objectively, they're always awesome because I will have these new ideas and I'll, see a lot of growth in my business or growth in other areas of my life that I find really exciting. But then at the same time, there's always this sense of like really trying to keep up with the energy of Jupiter. And you've had Jupiter in your sign, in your house, in rulership. He's been there, making all these changes for you and giving you these opportunities. But at the same time, the opportunities that Jupiter offers you are opportunities that you have to sort of grow and stretch in order to reach. So you're operating at full capacity, and I want to just commend you for that, Sag. But I feel like this month it's going to be time to kind of find a way to give yourself a little bit of a break, or find a way to kind of bring it back, rein it in, bring it back, come back to your roots, come back to your free-spirited self. And I feel like November is actually going to be a time of great reflection for you, or at least it has the potential to be that way. So let's take a look at your cards. So we've got the Star, just like I was talking about, like being on display or being seen. The Chariot, the Prince of Wands, the Two of Swords, the Moon, the Ten of Swords, Four of Swords, and Justice. Okay, so I'm just going to tune in here for a moment. So the beginning of November, you're still kind of coming into the month of November with this sense of like the continuation of like a theme that has to do with being seen, first of all, like exposure in your life in some way, like exposure maybe creatively or in terms of your business, or even just in your psychic ability, if you're, tuning in to your intuition or your psychic ability or your spirituality. There's something about being seen in relation to that, both internally, seeing yourself more clearly, but also like other people somehow witnessing or being involved with you and your spiritual beliefs, or kind of like maybe even intuitive experiences that you're having. And there is a sense of deep authenticity with this card. There's a sense of also just kind of being out there with something that maybe, is unusual or kind of off the beaten path, or makes you feel uncomfortable about sharing it. But at the same time, like that's just where you find yourself, is in this flow of, okay, I guess I'm sharing more of this, or I guess I'm, kind of embracing this belief or this trust that whatever I'm bringing out there is, going to be received by the people that it can help. So there's some kind of element of that. And the Chariot shows your determination, I feel, because we go from this person who's kind of like quiet, spending a quiet moment with themselves, and they're sort of, that's the stars, so they're connected to the stars, they're connected to their higher self. And then as a result of that sort of inward spiritual connection that you're having with yourself, Sag, then you're kind of taking action with the Chariot card, and you're moving forward, in powerful ways that I feel like you have it's almost like as you go into November, you have some things that you have to do. You have some things that you, for whatever reason, either you've agreed to them or they are just really important and meaningful for you, but there's something you have to do in the first part of the month. And so you're just going to go like balls to the wall. You are just gonna go for it. You're gonna get it done. You're gonna be determined. You're kind of shoring yourself up to be strong, to take action that you know you need to take. And there's a sense with this Prince of Wands that you know, this is a really good card for you. He's the Prince of Fire, so obviously we have a Saggy connection there. But there's something about this guy and the way that he's kind of writing. I feel like, you know, this, whatever this is that you have to get done in the first couple weeks of November, I feel like it's going to go off really well. It's going to go off without a hitch. And it kind of closes off that, like, this little story that we see, because he's turning away from the Two of Swords. But I feel like the Two of Swords is sort of like the quiet period after a time of great activity for you. So I don't know if this activity has been going on all year, or if this is just, you know, something big that you're kind of pushing yourself to do in the first half of the month. But whatever it is, there's this like big final sort of push that you're doing, Sag. You're like, I'm gonna get this done, I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna rest after. And then immediately after, it's like radio silence, you know, with the Two of Swords. And this is really, to me, speaking to the feeling that we can sometimes get after we make a really big sort of leap in terms of our personal growth, or in terms of maybe getting out of our comfort zone, doing something that challenges us, and then right afterward, it's like, zoop, like we just feel like we come back to ourselves, and we have this quiet moment where we sort of have to reflect on like what we just accomplished, what we just did, and what it means for us, and maybe what we would do differently moving forward. For some of you, there could also be a sense of stagnation with the Two of Swords immediately following some kind of a creative victory, or like crossing the finish line of a creative project. And then you're like, oh, wait a minute, like what do I do now? Like if you're, for example, if you're writing like an online course and you just put the finishing touches on, you know, the last piece of it, and then you have to kind of just wait either a period of time before you're going to edit it, or you have to make some big decisions about like what you're going to keep in your course or what you're going to change. And there's this moment of kind of just like, whoa, your energy feels different because you've just completed a big project, or you've just put something out there, or you've just kind of pushed yourself in some way. And then you have to kind of come back to the silence within yourself and really see what you want to do moving forward now, because the energy has shifted as a result of your prior actions and as a result of the hurdle that you've just jumped. So I see you kind of coming back to yourself and wanting to kind of get some clarity on what path you want to take moving forward now, how you would like to proceed, but I don't see you getting that clarity right away. I feel like you're going to get that clarity after the full moon in Taurus on the 12th. So the full moon in Taurus is on the 12th of November, and these cards are coming up. You know, we have the moon clearly here, which is obviously talking about that that event this month, and we have the Ten of Swords next to it. So following the Taurus full moon, I feel like there's going to be like a little bit of a period for you where you are realizing something that you're getting a lot of clarity on, but at the same time, it may not be the, this isn't the most kind of gratifying clarity card. I mean, we could definitely say that the Ten of Swords is a clarity card because it's like the clarity that a particular choice or a particular option or a particular mode of being is no longer viable. Something is getting taken off the table. But I feel like this is actually something that you are deciding, Sagittarius. I don't think this is something that somebody else is choosing for you, and I'll tell you why. This full moon in Taurus is going to be in your 6th house, which is the house of kind of mundane work. It's like the 10th house is our higher work, our career path, our best, career path in our professional life. The 6th house is more chores and small jobs and things that we're not as excited about. It's also associated with health and illness. And so when we see a full moon happening in your 6th house, it's kind of like there could be an ending or a realization that you want to end something, which you recognize is sort of sucking away or siphoning off vitality for you. So this could be anything from like recognizing a belief system in yourself that you want to get rid of or that you want to let go of. It could also be on the other end of the spectrum. It could be a relationship with someone in your life who you're like, you know what? This is energetically taking more out of me than it's like putting back in. So there's kind of potentially some tough realizations or some, I wouldn't necessarily say tough, because I feel like for many of you, this is going to be gratifying, especially afterwards. Once you accept the choice that you're making or accept the clarity that is sort of coming to you around that full moon, you're going to be feeling actually, once some time goes on, you are going to gradually feel excited about this shift. Even if right away it's not really what you wanted to hear or what you wanted to like plan for, I think ultimately, because this is going to free up so much of your energy and so much of your time, so much of your emotional focus, I think you're actually going to be pretty happy about it. But the moment when you have that clarity, or when you make the decision, or when you make the phone call, or whatever, we do have the 10 of Swords. So you might feel like disappointed potentially, or you may feel a sense of kind of dispassionate, like this is over. And you might feel like guilty in some ways for not feeling more bad about it. Like you might, if it affects someone else in your life, or if it kind of disappoints other people, you might feel bad that you're disappointing them, but internally you're kind of like, there's just this sense that I'm almost getting that's like, this isn't bothering me as much as I thought it would, or as much as I think maybe it should. But the truth is, you just have to follow your own path, which is really what this full moon energy is about for you with this moon card. It's like I'm seeing you kind of needing to walk your own path and find that sort of middle ground within yourself. And that might mean not taking sides, or it might mean walking the middle ground in some situation where there are people who kind of would like to have you in their camp. So it might just represent you sort of taking the center ground and pulling back your energy from places where you've been sort of giving it away or allowing your energy to be siphoned off, if that makes sense. The end of the month, we have the Four of Swords and Justice. So we do see that a little bit of that apathetic energy of the Four of Swords. You can see this guy. He looks a little apathetic. He looks kind of like deep in thought or concentration. But then we have Justice sort of following. And the way that these cards came out is that, the Four of Swords is preceding Justice. So I think that it kind of makes a lot of sense seeing the 10 of Swords and then the Four of Swords. So you're going from making that decision based on that clarity, and then you're kind of feeling like you need to let yourself process some things for a little while and maybe give yourself some time off. I also want to say that for some of you, this is a general reading, so it's not going to be relevant for everyone, but because you have that full moon symbolically happening in your 6th house, the Four of Swords can be a card that is associated with illness. So you might need to hear the message, Sagittarius, like one or two of you out there, or maybe several of you might need to hear the message that if you don't give yourself a break, you could potentially find yourself struggling a little bit with your health. So it's really important that you engage in activities that are relaxing and leisurely for you right now. It's important that you drink enough water and that you get enough sleep. And really just prioritize what brings you joy and also what deeply nourishes your physical vessel. I think if you're like able to do those things, I think you will find that like this shift in energy towards the end of the month as the sun goes into your sign. With Justice, I see you kind of beginning to feel balanced again. I see you beginning to feel like you are sort of in control again of your destiny to your highest ability with the Justice card here. And I see you kind of having some success as well in terms of moderating differences, or in terms of feeling kind of like you can manage the opposing energies possibly that are around you. Like there's just this sense of all is right in the world again, you know? And it's good. It's looking really good. So let's take a look at your Oracle card message for the month. Oh, we have honor yourself. I don't know if you can see that. Honor yourself, Sag. This is so important for you guys, and I feel like this might be a continuation of some of the messages that have been coming through in recent months. This is a big thing for you. This is a message that I feel is going to go right to the heart of a lot of Sagittarius out there, because honoring yourself, sometimes, especially as a Sagittarius, it is hard to do. Because you are a quick-moving sign, you're a forward-thinking sign, you're an optimistic sign, and you do move quickly because you have a strong intuition, you have a strong gut instinct. And I think sometimes when you care a lot about like how your decisions and actions affect other people, and you have deep relationships with other people around you and, you know, with yourself as well, I think it is really hard, you know, especially if you're like an empathetic Sag. It's hard to accept that sometimes your inner voice is just telling you what it's telling you, and you have to follow that, you have to honor that, you have to trust that. Even when you have other people around you who want to kind of keep things the way that they are, you know, but you're mutable fire. Like you gotta transform, you gotta change, you got to grow. That's like your modus operandi in life, is like, I freaking grow. Like I grow and I change, and as I change, my needs change, and my attitudes shift, and you have to be able to have the strength to honor your changing needs and your changing attitudes and changing dispositions in your life. Otherwise, you would be holding yourself back for the comfort of other people around you. And that's not a situation of honoring yourself. So you have to find a balance with it always. And I think this card does a really good job of depicting the kind of the softer energy of this, because honoring yourself doesn't have to feel like you are, you know, hurting anyone else, or that you're like turning the cold shoulder, or that you're doing anything that feels harsh. Like you can do everything that you need to do, Sagittarius, from a place of love. First self-love, and then that self-love, you know, genuinely will flow out to love and appreciation for all beings. And I feel like that is one of like the kind of inherent lessons for the Sagittarius, you know, as an archetype. It's like you have to be strong enough to honor the mutability of your own changing character and your own changing desires and needs. You're always going to be seeking, and you have to honor that aspect of yourself, while at the same time, you know, engaging in activities and relationships that are respectful of the fact that you are grounded in yourself, you know, because this is like the tree being like deeply rooted. It's going to go through like seasonal changes, and it's going to go through transformations, but it's always going to have that sort of core connection to, you know, spirit or to the soul. And I feel like that really is the most self-honoring way that you can live and that you can choose to go through life, is just embracing the seasonal shifts. For Sagittarians, sometimes the seasonal shifts are more often and more profound and more vivid than for some of the other people maybe that you have around you who have like pointedly different astrology to yours, like maybe people that you have around you who have like a lot of fixed energy in their chart. Like your seasonal shifts are going to look different to theirs, and it's not to say that one is better than the other or anything like that, but you got to have the strength to just honor what your transformations genuinely and authentically look like. And I feel like that is really what also provides you with the success in your life, because when you're making decisions based on what's authentically right for you now and what feels true for you now, that's enough, right? That's all that we can do. So I hope that this reading has been helpful to you, Sag. I hope it's giving you something useful to think about as you go through the month of November. I'm sending you so much love. If you're still with me, why don't you go ahead and leave an emoji below if you'd like to, of maybe like a little fire emoji or something like that to let me know you're still with me. And if you want to share anything about how the reading may have connected to something in your life, I'd love to hear from you in the comments as well. So please feel free to share. I absolutely love hearing from you guys. And if you'd like to support my channel, always giving my videos a thumbs up and subscribing, and also subscribing to notifications are some of the best ways that you can do it, because it really helps to show me that these readings are beneficial to you, which gives me the motivation and the excitement and enthusiasm to keep putting so much time and energy into this channel. So I absolutely adore you guys, and if you'd like to donate, I will put the information to donate any amount that you see fit. That really helps my channel as well, obviously, because I put so much time and energy into these videos, and I will be doing your 2020 forecast readings coming up next month. So that's in addition to everything else that I do with this channel. So if you have been getting something useful from these readings and you want to say thank you, you are definitely welcome to donate any amount. Even $1 is amazing, because in aggregate that really will help support me while I put so much time into the year ahead forecast that I'll be doing for each sign. Okay guys, thank you so much for being here. I'm sending you so much love, and I will talk to you next month. Mwah. Bye!